Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Darkness Dissected. My name is Suzanne, and today we are looking at the unexplained story of the Lucky 15. We often hear about people believing in miracles and the power of prayer to get them through the hard times in life. Now, personally, I'm not religious, but that does not mean that there aren't certain things that happen in life which baffle the mind. These could be anything from finding money when you need it most, being late for an appointment, and in turn finding out that if you'd been on time, the route that you were on, there was a massive accident, maybe it might have resulted in death. Now on March 1st, 1950, that is exactly what happened to a very fortunate group of people in Nebraska. These people came to be known as the Lucky 15. The time was 7:25 p.m. and it was said to be a quiet evening. That is, until an explosion happened. Now this explosion was so powerful that it knocked out power all over the town. The local radio station had to shut down and windows were smashed in people's homes and businesses. All signs from this explosion pointed to Beatrice's West Side Baptist Church, which was found to be completely destroyed and gutted by fire. Now at 7:20 p.m. each week, choir practice always started. On this particular evening, Reverend Walter Klemple turned on the church's furnace only a little earlier in the evening to warm up the building for the night's practice. Now he ended up being one of the onlookers as the fire blazed through the evening, while the rest of the small town was in darkness. Firefighters came outside from the church to report that none of the 15 people that should have been inside were in fact dead. None of them were inside the church at the time of the explosion. Shocking, right? These are people who were never late or missed a practice. The fire department came to the conclusion that the explosion had happened due to a natural gas leak. So, no sinister reason for the explosion, but more surprising was the series of events for these 15 people that led them to not be there at the time of this horrific event. Now our good Reverend himself should have been at the practice. He'd been leaving the house for this when it was noticed that his daughter's dress had food spilt down the front from the evening's dinner. His wife and the young girl went upstairs, changed the dress, and the mother ironed her a new one. All this time meant that they were not in the church when things went wrong. Now, along with the Reverend, the pianist and student named Marilyn Paul had eaten dinner that evening and then taken a short nap. Except this nap turned into something, well, it certainly wasn't a short nap. For whatever reason, Marilyn could not be woken up easily, and due to this, her mother, who was the choir director, took ages trying to do just that. Now, because of Marilyn not being able to be woken up, and her mother desperately trying to wake her up, these two didn't make it to church. Now, another woman who was also late was a Joyce Black, who was the choir stenographer. She explained later that due to the cold weather and the short distance that she had to walk, well, she decided that she was going to put off going out into the cold as long as possible, try and stay toasty that little bit longer. Now, by the time she decided to leave for the church, well, that's when as soon as she opened the door, she was met with a blaze and her windows being blown out. A woman named Leonard Schuster and her daughter usually went to practice together, but again, on this particular evening, the mother was made to work late, meaning that the two were late for practice. Harvey Earl and his two sons were so engrossed in conversation that they left the house late, saving all three of their lives. Herbert Kipf was late as he took the time not only to finish writing a letter, but posting it on his way to the church. Again, this saved his life. And more importantly, if this had been modern times, he probably wouldn't have been saved if you think about it, because everybody texts. Rowena Estes and her sister were students. Now, they were having car trouble on this evening, and no matter what they did, they could not get the vehicle to work. So instead, they rang their school friend LaDonna Vandergrift for a ride. Now, Ladona was having schoolwork issues herself and struggling over a geometry problem. She was determined that she was going to finish the homework and sadly lost track of time. Another of their classmates, named Lucille Jones, usually went to practice with her friend and neighbour Dorothy Wood. Lucille had been listening to a radio programme that apparently was so interesting she was late meeting up with her friend. So as you can see, a series of strange and unusual events and behaviour led to 15 people being saved from a horrible death. Now, the church obviously since then has been rebuilt, and the memories of that evening might be long in the past, but they've certainly not been forgotten. And think about it, it's crazy to think that a small change in your behaviour can have such a huge impact. I mean, what a difference 5 minutes can make. Think about it. It seems like such a short moment in your time, in your life, a mere 5 minutes. But what an impact those few moments could have to the rest of your life. They might save your life. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Now tell me though, have you experienced something similar to this maybe? A moment's hesitation led to something that completely changed your life. Until next time, my fellow dissectors, stay safe out there. Bye for now.